Hello, I'm back. Yes, it's evening time. I'm back. I thought I'd come on. Just curious to know what people are thinking out there, wanting to know your thoughts. Do I dare ask? Wanting to know your thoughts on lockdown. So, thank you for joining me. My name is Mary Jane Tracy. I'm a psychic medium, a spiritual love of life coach. A little bit controversial. I have my opinions, and I state them. I love to listen to other people's opinions. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe everybody has the right to say what they need to say, all within a context of respect for one another. That's for sure. I was just a little bit frustrated. Maybe that's what it is. And I just wanted to come in here and talk it out because it is frustrating. I am finding it frustrating with this, with everything. And, at first, when everything started happening last year, I kind of had the, sorry about any background noise. I kind of had the understanding. I knew that things were going to start getting crazy. And I knew this year it would be crazy too. It'd be just a different crazy, just different energies that are coming in. And I mean, we have so much energy in Aries right now. I mean, we have a lot of feminine divine energy. We have Ceres, Venus, Eris, all in Aries right now. We also have, the sun, Chiron, and Mercury in Aries. So we have a lot of fire. We got a lot of warring energy in Aries right now. And squaring off over to Pluto. And we do have Eris squaring off over to Pluto. We have Ceres squaring off to Pluto. So there's all this divine feminine energy going off over to Hades, the god of the underworld. And, when you get a square, that, of course, that means there's tension. There's tension in the air. There's tension in the world around us. Tension in Capricorn would be the patriarchal system and what that tension is. And Aries is the energy of let's get started. Let's go ahead. And here comes Pluto coming in and saying, well, there's still some restrictions that need to be placed upon you before you can go ahead. And here in Alberta, we supposedly got back down to lockdown, which really, it doesn't feel like anything different. I mean, you can't go to the gym, but you can go see a trainer. You can still go get your hair done, and you can still go to the spa as long as you have an appointment. Schools are still open. Kids can still go and play sports and go to sport, and do their sports, sporting gathering. Yet they're saying that the cases are getting for younger and younger people getting this variant. I call it the mutant strain, getting this mutant strain. And and it's supposed to be a lot tougher, this new strain. Let's see what else is going on with this. School, as I say, schools are still open, and you could still go to the mall, but it's at 15% capacity. So down from 25%, but we can all go gather outside 10 people. But you can't have anybody over into your house, but you might be able to have people in your backyard because it's outside. Not too sure on that one. So we do have a lot of frustration. And that's the other thing with the energies. Oh, and you can't go to libraries. Oh, right. But hey, Danielle, you and I can go and read a book on the patio. We'll take the library to the patio. So we could go do that. So yeah, we can't go to the library. But there are churches. The churches are still open, but they're at 15% capacity, and same with retail. So a lot of these regulations, like, don't make any, with drinks. Exactly. We'll order our gin and tonic and our wine, and we can read our books on the, there, or maybe we can open a little sidebar library where people can get a book and a wine and a book. Hey, there you go. We can open up a patio and we can have, you can come and get a drink. There it is. There's the new, if you still want to read, come grab your wine, grab a book, and you could come sit on our patios and read a book and have a glass of wine. What? Hey, that is a fabulous business that we're just going to open up right now. And this is coming down throughout Alberta. I know Ontario's going to have some more restrictions coming down. And then all over the news, of course, our mayor is not running for another term. Thank fucking God, because he kind of annoys the hell out of me anyways. And it's crazy. It's just crazy. And there are churches that are that they haven't stopped being filled to capacity. So libraries have to close, but churches remain open. This is getting ridiculous, people. And this is where, when you start looking at the energies, especially for this year, it's just going to get crazier. I'm just giving you the heads up. Okay, last year, and I was telling you about the lockdowns, and I was telling you about stocking up on food, and I was telling you that these things are going to be happening. They're going to be happening again. And even in Alberta, I mean, we have a really fucked up premier who's really kind of screwy in the head, who has a lot of issues, and especially about our educational system and the things that he wants to bring in for our educational system. I think first off, we need to educate ourselves. And one way to do that is attend the rallies. We need to learn who we are and where we come from. We need to learn sovereignty. I'm reading Nanette's. Only then will we learn how to make changes and stand in our power. Good information from the rallies, just saying. Yeah, I'm really leery on who's doing the rallies. And I want to know who they are. The thing is that a lot of times with those rallies, what is their ulterior agenda and what is their political affiliation? Because a lot of these guys with a lot of those have ulterior agendas, and a lot of things like certain rallies that have happened ended up being sponsored by big corporations like Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Google, and many other big corporations. So, I mean, yes, good information comes in, but we also have to look at who's doing the rallies. I mean, there's some real crazies out there, and you find out that they are part of some of them are part of a fascist organization where they want to learn about having sovereignty, but they don't know what sovereignty is, and they don't understand what that means. So we have a long ways to go, a long ways on education, a long ways on doing on education, and the whole bit. There's just, I don't know. When I look at the astrology, and I'm just going by the astrology, over as we're heading through this month alone, I'm going to bring in my notes because I did write out notes for this month. For this month alone, for the amount of energy that's coming in, is that with the new moon coming in, and Pluto is going to be retrograde, then we're going to have Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, and Uranus and Chiron retrograde after that. So pulling back, recycling energy. So there's going to be a lot of pulling back. There's going to be a lot of things, a lot of energies that are going to be coming in that are going to be having us move backwards. So with the lockdown now, I can only see it actually with the astrology that it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And we're going to find, and even with trying to bring in something new, Saturn, old, law, authority, traditional, Uranus wants to break free, wild and unorthodox. So we have that energy of wanting to break free, wanting to get things done. And we're going to see a little bit as the planets move from Aries and go into Taurus. And that's going to happen around the 19th. So we're going to start seeing the energy start to, as they go into Taurus, they're going to slow down, but then they're going to run into Uranus. Then we're going to see the strong hand of the man come down with Saturn, because Saturn wants to hold you accountable for what you are doing. So we have that's coming in for the month. We have the sun and moon aligning and wanting to move things forward. And we really want to get things going, yet feeling under the restrictions with Pluto. And Pluto really going back and digging up some more information that needs to be dug up. And then we have, within a couple of days after that, with that square with Saturn, that's going to be coming up with the moon. The moon's going to be squaring Saturn as it goes into Taurus after the full moon next week. So there is this like, yeah, we could get things done, and then we are totally restricted. So there's this tug of war that's happening right now, and this is for the month of April. And even as we go into May and June, because then we have Jupiter going retrograde, and same with Saturn, and all the other guys start going retrograde. So there's this energy of like, we're wanting to push forward, we're wanting to get things done, yet it's, there's underlying agendas that are happening with many people who want to take charge. People are going, you're going to find a lot of people, this is where I got segregation, a lot of segregating. A lot of people are wanting to break away, not wanting to be a part of the community, wanting to claim their own sovereignty. What does that mean, claiming your own sovereignty? Are you going to be 100% responsible for everything? That means everything within your world, right? So this is where, understanding what, got to straighten up my shirt, understanding what other people's agendas are is very important. You can follow the rallies around the world and here in Canada and all on the platforms. Some are better than others. Oh, definitely. And I've looked at some of them, and I've looked at some of the leaders that are in there, and a lot of them are fascists. They have an ulterior agenda that is very fascist type of industrial fascist, I guess you'll say, in it. And getting people together. And that's why it's a scary thing. And I'm not saying for people not to rally. I'm not saying people not to. But when I look at what's happening with the astrology and I'm looking at what people are doing, I feel some of it's going to cause more harm than good when it comes to more of the restrictions and the segregations that are going to be coming in. And that's the big one, is the segregations that are going to be coming in, and some of the things that are going to be trying to be implemented upon people. But we're going to find by the end of this year, by December, you're going to find a lot more information. Is going to come in about the vaccine, and how the vaccine, what was more in the vaccine, some of the repercussions of the vaccine, which some of them don't hit until 6 months after having the vaccines, and some of the things that from autoimmune disorders, and that has to do a lot with as Gemini, as Mercury goes into Gemini, we're gonna see a lot, and it goes retrograde in Gemini, I think in May, June. So we're gonna see a lot more of information coming about that and the problems that is all going to occur. So this energy that's coming in is really one for us to really take a look at where we as individuals can really bring in our light and shine our light, and doing our due diligence on what these rallies are around the world, what are people standing up for, what is the meaning behind them, and who is, who's behind them. And some of these rallies that are being around the world too are being set up to destroy businesses, destroy things, and knock things down. So that's the one thing, is that we don't want to go out there and start destroying things. We don't want to go down there and start knocking things down. And we as a people are not everybody is awake as what we hope that they will be. That's the thing. And that's where this energy is. It is shaking people to get awake, not woke. Woke is no, but to be awake, to be able to see a whole picture of what the energies are and a whole picture of what's going on. And with all of this energy in Aries, Aries is the god of war. And that's what people have to understand. War means many different things, and in what's going on. They're trying to find ways to make differences without the censorship going on. There should not be certain topics we can't talk about, but information is being controlled. Yes. And that's because more control is being given to corporations. When corporations were deemed as people and given rights as a human being, then that's where we went wrong. And that happened several years ago with that. And where, what is it? The baseball down in Georgia is tapping in on people on whether they have to show their photo ID or not. There wouldn't be a need for rallies if platforms weren't fact checking everything, and fact checkers weren't a thing until No, that's not true. Fact checkers have actually been around for quite some time. You just haven't been aware of it. There are fact checkers way before that. This has all been starting for some time. And that goes way back, and that's even with the astrology. You go back to 2012, and you can go back further, where things were starting to be implemented. Go back to 2008, when Pluto entered Capricorn. And when Pluto entered Capricorn, then you started to see the destruction and how the home and mortgages went under. It all started, even before that. So the fact checkers were slowly coming in. Things have been slowly implementing. The internet's been around since 1997. Information, every time you got a cell phone, flip phone, all of that, every time you got one, that was bringing in more and more of people fact checking. So you got to look at it. Fact checking's been around. Every time they upgrade, every time they do something, every time you turn on your computer, like they're probably fucking fact checking me now, which I really don't give a shit. I really don't. And I know when they're doing it because a little thing comes up on my screen. So fact checking, Instagram, they were already collecting your information. Information has been being collected since the 80s. Right? So with the telephone and stuff, and guys calling you on the telephone, gathering information, your information, email lists being sold, things like that. So that's been happening for some time. And, when we start looking at things coming together, it's just now it's in your face. It's just in your face. That's the thing. Everybody's been walking around like fucking zombies for a long time and not paying attention. We allowed for trade to be taken. We allowed China to be able to make all our shit. We gave them the permission to make all our shit, to make our medicines, to make, to grow our garlic, to grow half our food. We gave them that permission. And we signed it over. Boycott them, definitely. So every time you go shopping, look at where your stuff is being bought. All your food, where's your food being bought? And where's your food being grown? This is all what it's coming in. And it takes time. So this isn't where we are going to topple governments overnight. That's not going to happen. Good luck. But it takes time. When you look at, okay, Mayor Nenshi is not going to be running next year. Who's running? Where's your vote going to go to? Who do you want in on your grassroots level? That's where the changes start to happen. The changes always start at the grassroots. They don't start at the top level. They never have, and they never will. They all start at the grassroots. How are you working within your community? Do you have a community garden? Do you know who your neighbors are? Are you communicating with your neighbors? Are you shopping local? Do you go to local, farmers markets? Do you buy your meat locally? What are you doing? This is how it all happens. If you don't like a company, if you don't like Nestle's, you don't buy fucking Nestle's. Because Nestle's they've been fucking assholes for a long, long time. I mean, they've even stated it's not your right to be able to have water, free water. So you boycott them. Don't buy Nestle's. Don't buy bottled water. Right? Use other filtration systems and stuff for your water. Right? So this is where, when you want to make a change, and that's where the Saturn-Uranus square is. Yeah, Uranus wants to make radical changes, and Saturn goes, okay, how you want to do it so that they can have longevity. Once things happen, once prices go up, the only way that they go down is through a huge depression and then war. That's the way it happens. It's through depression, which we are going through, and we're going to be going through, and you're going to be seeing it, even though I know there's somewhat of a renaissance and newness, and there's new ingenuity and pioneering and beautiful energy like that coming in. Definitely. But this is where, with that energy, how are you going to maintain it? How are you going to bring this into your day-to-day realm? Educating our children. Have you looked at the fucking Alberta system for educating our children? Like, give me a fucking break. That is so scary. And you didn't have a vote on it. And they're pushing it in by 2022. So these are the things, as parents, you need to look at it. I'm a grandmother. I've been looking at it, and I've been telling my daughter, look at this shit. Because she has the final say on where he goes to school, not me. For my grandson. This is where, when we come into what we want to make the changes, and that's what Pluto does. He wants to show you the shit in your face and say, no, you like this? Fine. It's like the devil card in tarot. When you get the devil card in tarot, it says, you want me to poke you up the ass? I'll continue poking you up the ass if that's what you want. But you don't have to stay there and get the poke up the ass. You can move on. And the devil says, okay, you move on and you do what you need to do. Because the card after the devil is the star card. Or after the tower is the star card. But as you move from the devil, he's saying, here, look it. You don't have to stay here. We can bring in the balance. We can bring in something more for you. But it's up to you to make the changes. That's where the sovereignty comes in. That's where you come in and you start saying, these are the changes. I have a right to say what happens to my body and not happen to my body. I have to pay the consequences of whether I choose to or not to. Right? So this is where the energies are coming in. And with so much energy, especially when you put Sirius and Venus is Wonder Woman. Like, I'm sorry. She's got the Wonder Woman energy when she's in Aries. She's this beautiful Amazonian woman that is coming in and very right there to fight, to stand up to what needs to be changed. But it's extremely diplomatic about it all. She's not going around killing people. If you ever notice, she doesn't go around killing people. And she stands up to it. And that's what she's doing. And with Eris there, well, Eris is another kettle of fish because she will fuck you over. And she's been, it takes her about 200 years to get through a sign. So we all have Eris in Aries. All of us in some degree have Eris and Aries in our chart. And she is this goddess who will, if you're not kind, if you are not being the true person that you are supposed to be, she will say, all right, now the punishment begins. So we're heading into this energy and whatever this lockdown means, because it makes no fucking sense to me, the whole thing and how it's all broken down. To me, my first obligation would be the safety of my children. That would be my first obligation, my safety of my children, and making sure the children are safe. That is the Aquarius energy. Aquarius energy is other people's children, making sure other people's children are fine. And that's what we want to do, is that we want to make the children fine. But it seems like the children don't really matter. We can teach them shit and then make them little drones as they get older. So that to me is our first priority, is our children. And then our next priority is how to maintain our society, how to maintain things in our world so that people can feed their family, keep a roof over their head. How can we, is there any talk about promoting better health? I haven't heard one minister of health talk about vitamin D, talk about zinc, talk about any of the other beautiful things that you could be doing to increase better health. Right? And our elderly need advocates, definitely. Elderly, I mean, when a person is the human touch is so important. When you're able to, many times when people are dying, going in there and holding their hand will bring them back. It is a fabulous, we're human beings. We are community. We are not ones to be isolated. But this is all awakening us, because we don't pay attention to where we get our shit. For so long, we've been a society that goes to the mall and buys a t-shirt. How many t-shirts do you have in your wardrobe? And if you go back 20 years ago, a person on average would have maybe 2 or 3 t-shirts in their wardrobe. How many shoes do you have? Right? So we are a consumer energy that is just consuming, taking. If we start to pay attention on, do we need a new outfit every day? Do we need this, or can this last us? Or can I, how many of you throw away a pair of socks because it has a hole in it? I don't think anybody ever seen how to darn socks, but those are the things. I'm not saying that you guys have to go out and start darning your socks. But this is part of the awakening, is saying, okay, you know what? We don't want to have whatever is going on right there. We want to make a change. Let's make a change by starting to make healthier changes. Start making a physical change will help us to make the change mentally and spiritually. So those things can come into alignment. And I really encourage you all to really start looking at what you can do healthy-wise. And what are you doing for yourself healthy? Vesta is in Virgo. So we have Vesta and Virgo. Vesta is that she's a beautiful goddess, but she's a goddess of the home and the hearth. Bringing in the home and the hearth. What are you doing to bring in the home and the hearth? Right? I never learned to darn socks, but saw my grandma do it. Really? But we used to have a darning, one of those black things that you put up the sock to darn it. But that's where we're coming into. If you can't garden, if you're not a gardener, that's fine. Look at, maybe you have a friend who's a gardener and you got a space and you say, hey, can you garden in my backyard? Because I can't. And share the crop, right? This is how we create the change. This is how we create community. And not be afraid. The thing is that how you get people into a frenzy, very easy. Okay, all of you probably know Christmas, right? How do you get people into a frenzy at Christmas? Tell them there isn't enough in stock. You can't buy that Cabbage Patch doll. There is not any in stock. I don't wear socks. And then people, when they see it, oh my God, I got to get it. Well, there is only 100,000 or 500,000 vaccines. I don't know if everybody's going to get the vaccine. Oh my God. People go into a frenzy. Cause a shortage, whether there is one or not. That's how you get people to freak out. So this is where it's like, when I see that, anytime I see that, it's just like, no, I'm not falling for that trick. Right. And that's part of educating, showing people, right? Right. Cynthia, she goes, I'm fucking over. Well, she doesn't say I'm fucking over it. She says, I'm over it. She's a very diplomatic little Cancer. New school system that teaches kids yoga, mindfulness, God back into their lives, gardening skills, cooking, learning. Well, that would be absolutely fabulous. I mean, definitely implement things like that. But then for them to do that, if it's in a public school system, you're going to have the people that say, well, I don't believe in God. You're going to have the Christians or the devout Christians say, oh, mindfulness, what are you trying to do? Get the devil in my child? So it's a crazy kettle of fish that goes in. I love that program, though. I mean, to me, that would be absolutely fabulous, right? When they introduced transcendental meditation to many of the kids in lower income areas, especially in the United States, it decreased gangs. It decreased drug intake and kids skipping. They made it mandatory that if you were detention, you had to go to meditation. So, and they had to learn transcendental meditation. And for many kids, they found that was just fabulous. They even had it in early morning before going to school, and kids were going to school early just for the meditation, because that brought them centeredness. It brought them peace, made them more, helped them to become more focused in their learning and what they had to do in their learning, right? They don't want ruling hands involved. Yeah, exactly. It is, I think, self-educating children, and I know not every parent can do that, but that to me is a huge one, is finding or being able to set up a school that is able to do that for children, that, and starting an educational system in that way. My daughter told me, she goes, Mom, why don't you do it? And I'm just like, okay, I would love to do it. I really would love to do it, but it would take a lot. It would take a lot. And of course, in doing something like that, or in taking on educating, especially kindergartens, say kindergarten to grade 3 at least, on bringing kids into a morning yoga class. In the morning they start their morning stretches, and then sit them down, and even getting the grade 3s to help the kindergartens in reading sessions, and the grade 2s to help the grade 1s with learning how to print, and and implementing things along that line would be, that'd be such a fabulous thing. And then having other people coming in would be absolutely fabulous. And metaphysical tools, definitely bringing that in, and bringing people in that I know that are great gardeners, like Cynthia. I'm employing Cynthia Honeybee Ramdell to come in and be the person to teaching cooking skills, things like that. And going out and visiting farms, going out onto farms with the kids, and seeing, baby lambs being born and puppies. And I mean, that would be something absolutely fabulous. That would be a fabulous setup, and it would take some undertaking to do that. But that is very Pluto in Capricorn. That's very Pluto in Capricorn, because Pluto is outside. He's way outside. He goes, you want to do something crazy and different that is so different that nobody else would think about? Look at what we can do. Look at what we can do. And it will be teachers of all areas, and you won't be teaching it all. Food for thought. Exactly. Teachers of all areas, bringing in teachers with different skills. And even having where parents can, the thing is the interaction with parents and making sure that the parents have to partake in this all, right? When they can. Not saying they'd have to, but I think if they could, would be something great. And one of the biggest things that I would really implement with schools in doing something like this, I would want to know every child's birth date and time and place of their birthday. So I'd have their astrological chart to understand why they have certain temperaments and to be able to work with those temperaments. If you have a child who's all fire, like, am I going to put her in a room with a bunch of air, or teach her how to work with ones with air? Because they'd probably just get her going, right? Or get him going. Or somebody who's, has a lot of air and they can't sit down. They have a hard time sitting. They're very wiggly. To ones who just need quiet because they're earth. They need that quiet. And and then with the water signs having some kind of nurturing type of energy. So you're really bringing in a lot of different elements to the teaching, but it's also bringing in also understanding where kids get to understand other people, how they work, and that for them to understand how they're working and their feelings, right? That especially if they're very empathic with all of this. So that's just my food for thought. I think with these lockdowns is really getting us to really look at things where, getting an outdoor bar, getting an outdoor patio where we can have a library, a book and wine patio, I think would do very well. We'll have to get the license for that. And we might start with boxed wines to start off with, just an FYI for people. And people bring in their books, their different books, and people can choose for their books and sit there and read, have a glass of wine, and maybe an appetizer. And then, we'll get Cynthia and Nanette and I, we're gonna form a school. There you go. This is where new inventions come in, because we need to talk about this shit. We really need to talk about this stuff. And growing up, I really, and this is like, I guess, bad on the educational system. When I was growing up, we weren't taught a lot about the indigenous cultures. We weren't taught a lot about that. We were shown some of it in when we were studying the Hudson Bay Company and some of the Canadian history, but that was in grade 5 and grade 10. Canadian history was taught. It was only in grade 5 and grade 10. Other than that, you didn't get a lot of other history on what Canada did. So this is like, even opening kids up to world history, understanding how different countries work, culinary experiences, bringing in a beautiful, a Sikh elder to come in and talk about that, about being, to being Sikh, to a Buddhist, to, oh my God, it'd be absolutely fucking fabulous. Class sizes of 6 for now with restrictions. Yeah. This is where you start small, right? You start in a place and you say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And it might start off in somebody's living room, or right now we could start outside because the restriction is for 10. On nice days, we can go and we could go outside. On days that aren't so nice, well, because we might be, I don't know, we can deem ourselves as some kind of play school or something like that. I know there's regulations and all that kind of stuff that has to be sought out, but if you start off small and then work I feel like it's better to just start off. And I'm a bad person because I would just do it without asking permission. That's me. That's the Scorpio. And Scorpios will push the boundaries before asking for the permission, and then we'll do it. History's important on everything. Our indigenous people have so much to teach us. Oh, right, exactly. Ethnic backgrounds do. Looking into, depending on, heck, I'd be interested in just learning even at my age. Yeah, exactly, Lisa. I mean, I think this could be something that could be definitely utilized. I mean, having somewhere where it's very central and doing it very central to, and then going from there. And oh my gosh, my mind's going now on ideas right now on ideas on how to deal with this, and then slowly work your way up to older, as kids go from grade 3 to grade 4, then you add on the next level, and then you can easily add on all the way up to about a grade 7. It's like it's like the one room classrooms that they used to have, right? And having those one room classrooms, and then eventually going from 6 kids, and then you have a max of 20. Then you can make different hubs, but still work in a community, right? And still work in a community of that. And I still like the patio idea with the wine, just an FYI, because I think that's where we'll go and have the PTA meetings, is on that patio with the books, with the wine. Just saying. You can have coffee if you guys want, but but this is where our hand is being forced to make a difference. That's how things change, right? That's how the vibration starts to work. That is because we just threw a ripple in the water. We just threw a ripple in the pond. We just threw a rock in the pond to cause a ripple effect. What is that ripple effect going to do? How is that going to make the changes? And this is where you can also add in where if there are children that can't attend, you can add the Zoom classes and Zoom and classes like that onto it also. Where if they're unable to attend, and they the parents say they're from, I don't know, farm community, and they can't get in. Right. And it's not going to be done by our government. It's not going to be done by the government. This is not going to be fixed. If you are waiting, South Node Sagittarius, waiting for somebody else to fix this, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen, girl and boys. It happens with the grassroots. Can you imagine a guy in a school that actually understood a Gemini? Exactly. Oh my God. He's a smart kid. But it's just, he would need, I could just imagine, here's a wall, he's got a ball, and he's throwing the ball up against the wall because he's got to get extra energy out, right? And then get him, but he still needs community. That's the whole thing. So when you're looking at kids that are like air signs, they need that community. It's very difficult for them to work on their own. Right? They can't, it's very hard on their mentality to work on their own. And so they need some form of community. They need to be able to see other people around them, bad ideas, bat ideas, not bad ideas, bat ideas off of one another, and that really helps, right? And same with the Libras, everybody wants to be around the Libra, though. See, so with with a Libra element, they still need that energy of somebody else. There, you'll find that air signs are very codependent energies. On average, they're very codependent. They like to be around other people. Libras usually will pick out somebody who's a bit different than they are, or they will pick out somebody who needs help because they are the justice ones, they are the cardinals, they are the balanced ones, right? And the other part about air is once they're done with something, they're done. So they don't want to relearn something once they've learned it or they've dealt with somebody. So if they're done with like if somebody has Libras will give them a chance, they will balance it out. But once they're finished, they got the sword, baby, they will cut you in half and tell you that they love you at the same time. Sorry, we're done, but I love you. We'll see you later. Don't call me, I'll call you. You know, I've been super hard and had my first meltdown yesterday. Yeah, well, yeah, I know. Lisa, I can relate. I wrote my blog today and I was crying writing my blog because I ended my one earlier today. Wasn't as long, but I just had to write it out because it's just so much energy coming in right now. And it's a lot of fire. So this is like, let's get things done. You know, it's that sparky energy that's coming forth. And it's just like, oh my God, this is overwhelming, right? This is too much for us to handle. And this brings in frustration and overwhelmness. You know, that's what it does. And so, yeah, you just get to a point where you're just like, and you cry. You know, reading some of the things that are going on was like, I was just like ready. I was ready to bawl my eyes out. You know, that it was just feeling all of the energies of everybody and listening. I didn't even listen to the news reporter listening to him because one, I cannot stand Kenny talking because he talks like a 15-year-old child, 15-year-old. Like I just, and I, you know, the public health minister, I mean, God bless her, but still, I mean, it just, and the propaganda that's going on, it just fucking, you know, you turn on a radio and they're singing a song about getting a vaccine. They're singing a song about, oh, let's get together and get the vaccine and whatever it is. I just like, oh, will you guys stop? Why are you pushing this agenda of propaganda upon people? And one, the vaccine is not going to help you with the mutants. Okay, because this next strain is a mutation, right? It's not going to help you. You could still have the vaccine and still get COVID. And the vaccine goes to your RNA and it has parts in it where it actually goes after your part of your antibodies, your white blood cells, and changes them. No vaccine actually does that. Once you get a vaccine, that's why I've never gotten the flu vaccine either. I've never gotten the flu vaccine. The mumps, measles, and rubella vaccine is the only one that I got. And the mumps, measles one that they did, they were very frustrated because when I was getting it, everybody got a mark on here. Mine never showed up, and it frustrated the nurses. It really did. And they could not, they tried both my arms and it still didn't work. So my mom said, no, that's the mumps, measles, and rubella. And then my mother would not get me another one. And that's because my mom had measles when she was a child and almost died. And my husband, well, I mean, she knew people with polio, but my husband had polio as a child and almost died because they didn't have the vaccination down in Trinidad at the time yet. So once they got it, I mean, that was a huge one. Right? Because once the kids were vaccinated, you didn't see kids every year getting a new strain of fucking polio. Right? It was like, oh, it's done. Exactly, CKL. They need a community and connection to thrive. We're born to thrive with others. That's absolutely. People need to learn what's in them. Our grandson almost died from exactly. I mean, because since let's see, dawn was 1990. Since just before 1990, they started to change what was in the vaccines and started to add more, different things on top of the vaccines, and right up to where you can get a chickenpox vaccine, right? And have a chickenpox vaccine. So I get very leery of any new vaccines that come out because they haven't been around. They don't have the test of time. The measles vaccine, I mean, that's been around since the 1700s, actually. That vaccine has been around since the 1700s. They brought it over in children where he kept inoculating children on the ship coming over so that he could begin to, I can't remember, I saw it on the History Channel, but until they could get to the shores and start inoculating people, so for smallpox and the smallpox vaccine, doubling up different vaccines too. That's why so many kids are yeah. Oh, right, doubling up. Let's just how much can your sister, like, you are born perfect. You're born with this beautiful immune system, right? And especially, if you're able to nurse your children, I mean, they're getting more nutrients. If you can't, still there's still, so many good substances that children have, as and building that immune system. I mean, I used to let my kids eat dirt. Go on the sand and play out there, and have snotty noses and go out and run around in the sunshine. I had one child, he was my Libra, who I couldn't keep clothes on, but I mean, I think even today he's 23, 24. If he had a choice, he would not wear clothes. He just like, this is the way I was born. But building the immune system, building it up with, like, there's beautiful foods that, when you start working with the land, with nature, there's such beauty with it, right? And they're finding things like, being a vegan is not cohesive for the planet, really. So you have to, because there is such an ebb and a flow that we have to work with within our ecosystem. Yes, we need the animals. Yes, we need the plants. Yes, we need to bring in the nourishing and the nourishment for all of this energy, for things to grow. I had chickenpox in the early childhood and had shingles in my 20s. Always had a compromised immune system whenever I had something injected. Oh, God bless you. Yeah, I mean, I know somebody who had shingles in their 20s too. And I never had chickenpox. I'm a weird one. I couldn't, getting the inoculations didn't work. Never had chickenpox. Just it's where my Neptune is and where my Saturn squares. My Saturn in Aries is very ET type of energy with my Saturn there, and then with all the other energies in Scorpio, really brings me into a weird energy. But yeah, so you have to be careful, definitely, because you do have a compromised immune system. So things to do to help you with your immune system. I mean, when you live in a place where life seems, you work in more of a balance, then your body works in a balance. But people with compromised immune system, autistic children, people that are coming in with more being diagnosed with ADHD as adults, this is all teaching us on how to work with one another, right? How to deal with what is good in our society, and not going for things that are foreign and going for foreign things, right? I'm healthier than ever now. That's beautiful. Yeah, and that's great. And that's what we want. We want to bring in the healthy. We want to bring people into being healthy. So, my loves, I've kept you here for an hour, and thank you guys for joining me. I just needed to talk all of this out because there was just so much going through my mind. And I'm definitely, Nanette and Cynthia and CKL. I'm going, you know what? I'm going to be really thinking about that school thing. I don't know how I can do it, but I'm going to just give it a tossle around in my head on what that would look like. And what that really would mean in doing something like that. And acupuncture and learning what your body requires from you. Trusting your inner guidance. Yeah. I mean, trusting your inner guidance. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's one of the biggest things I've taught my grandson is that, you know things and trust it and trust what you know, right? I'm with you, girl, all the way. All the way. Ontario rally organizers are planning the school thing. Yeah, a lot has to go. Schools are going to be changing drastically in the next by 2023. Schools aren't going to be the way you think schools are going to be. I mean, the energies are coming. There is such a dark force that as the light grows, the dark grows too. So we got to understand that. So there is a lot of energies are pushing in different ways, and we got to pray for that. Definitely do those prayers, right? Um, and do a lot of prayers. A lot of prayers going out to people in the Ukraine and Soviet Union. Both sides. I know whatever political side. I'm not playing on political sides. I'm just sending them all out blessings to come to some form of peace. And same with the Middle East and in other areas in Taiwan. So in Hong Kong. So many areas need our prayers right now. So let us send our prayers out and do our Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, and Ho'oponopono out into the world and even into our own areas and sending out blessings out into our own areas. Have a blessed one, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you for joining me, and we'll continue this conversation. It's not over yet, baby. It's not over. Blessings, everybody. Bye bye.